Yes. First up, hashtag Emfuleni Must fall.
Yeah, so this one is a big one, and it's quite, I mean, you can see that people are furious at the moment, and this has pretty much so got to do around the Vaal and water. And just to get an understanding, I'll read a couple of the tweets that have made this a big trending topic. This is from Tipang saying, I'm going to need the youth of the Vaal to all vote in next year's local government elections. This thing of not caring when we are the ones who have the power to change things must finish. We need to stand up against this corruption. It's gone on for too long. Pele, another tweet coming in, and you can see these are predominantly young people. I mean, I'm telling from their profile
very
pictures,
young
I might
people,
be very wrong, but it certainly looks that way. It's the youth that are up in arms in Emfuleni. I see other municipalities creating jobs for their resident graduates, and we're here in the Vaal stuck with the corrupt Emfuleni. Now, we just heard they owe Rand Water 1 billion rand. These guys must be removed from office. I edited that one because I've got a bit of swearing in that one. But yeah, so I mean, people are just upset. Another one saying, imagine the whole of Gauteng drink the water that comes from the Vaal Dam, but we in the Vaal don't have any water. Does this make any sense? Now, this is
Remember, the SANDF was deployed there to go and assist. This one says, when are the Hawks coming for Emfuleni?
Yeah.
Emfuleni officials implicated in 870 million rand looting spree, but no action taken. And Danko says, remember, it just says I lose it. Remember when forensic auditors came to Emfuleni and one got shot at a guest house that they were staying at? Hashtag Emfuleni Must fall. Meiki says sewage, potholes, unfinished structures, garbage not being picked up, unemployment. Kure, you can leave the Vaal for 10 years and still find the same pothole that you left waiting for you.
It's unacceptable.
It's just totally unacceptable. But as you say, there seems to be a groundswell here of young people in the main who have just had enough, and they feel that things must change. Rich Auntie says, valiance, as the youth we can do much better. Personally, I fight with them regularly, but we need to come together as a collective and show them that it's enough.
I mean, some people saying that we haven't had electricity for more than a year. I mean, others are saying, reading about Sharpeville and what the people there went through during apartheid, you would expect to see a world-class township. Such a disappointment, an utter disaster. Only one main road and a useless precinct Wi-Fi hub. Emfuleni must fall. These stories are unacceptable. They're absolutely unacceptable. And I hope that whoever is in charge and whoever is able to make a difference is reading all of this and seeing that people are furious now, and rightly so. You shouldn't be put into these situations. It's not right.
There is a video that I picked up on this particular thread, and it's unverified at this point, but it's worth looking into. A convoy of cars where people apparently drove to the mayor's house to switch off his electricity. So it's one worth following up on. I'll certainly be putting a call through in the next spot break just to find out from spokespeople in the Vaal whether that actually took place. Because there's a video that's uploaded and it actually says that last night residents went to the mayor's private residence and they disconnected his electricity. Amandla. So if that doesn't tell you that people are hurtful, nothing will, because something needs to give.
I think so, and I think that this is you do in a way need a groundswell for things to change, because at the end of the day, if people don't actually stand up and speak for their rights, people will continue to loot and carry on and laugh in the face of the people that are living in that area and say, well, people are just accepting it, so we'll just carry on doing it.
Don't care attitude.
Accept it.
It's that don't care attitude that is so unacceptable.
All right, so that is the big one.
Emfuleni must fall.
There's another trending topic here. Let's have a look and see which one it is. I think it's Arsenal. No, Alaska. We haven't got to Arsenal yet. Alaska, but Alaska is pretty much on the whole US vote, and Alaska is still very very slow at their vote counting. They still haven't apparently declared.
How big is Alaska?
It's tiny. It's beautiful, but it's
Exactly.
tiny. I have been there, but it is tiny, and it's still not doing it. Trump should have, pretty much so shouting, and people say, "Come on, guys, surely you can do this." But anyway, it's Alaska and North Carolina. I think that people are still really waiting for. But nonetheless, we in general, just I think talking to the U.S. elections, we've covered it extensively here at the SABC. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage that our colleagues have been putting out over the weekend. I certainly was dipping in and out between international and local and seeing the perspectives. It's been quite incredible. And, records being broken, glass ceilings being shattered, people's voices and votes being heard. And, a lot has happened this weekend. It's been a very, very significant weekend in the history of the world and in US politics and global politics at large. And I think the one lesson it can tell you is, number one, people have the voice and people's votes change. I mean, you see that some of the leads have been just a couple of thousand votes. And there's so many people in our elections, all over the world, in fact, that say, what does my vote count? Doesn't matter, I'm not going to go. And at the end of the day, it does count. It always counts, whether you like to believe it or not. And this is a very telling situation in the US. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, however, going forward. We've got two guests that are going to come in. Firstly, our International Relations Minister. We'll be speaking to her, Naledi Pandor, about this victory and South Africa sending good wishes. Even though a lot of countries have not sent good wishes yet, they're still sitting on waiting for
final.
Exactly, and what Trump is still denying that Biden won. And then, of course, we've got John Stremmer, who'll give us a better understanding.
Trump hasn't conceded defeat, one. What this has also done is to just once again cement that the narrative that the United States of America is a hugely divided society, because regardless of him losing this election, Trump came up with almost half the vote in this particular election.
Over
70 million. So there's a lot of work to be done here by the president-elect in uniting this country. Trump clearly does have support, but he still has about 70 days in office as POTUS, as President of the United States, does Trump. So it'll be interesting to see what he uses those 70 days for. At what point does he eventually accept that he has lost this particular race and he has to start moving? At what point does he say, guys, move in, so that they can start packing up his personal belongings from the White House? It all remains to be seen. But it also speaks to the houses, of Congress as well. So there's still quite a lot to happen between now and what is it, the 20th of January?
Indeed. There's so much.
We're still keeping an eye on all of these developments.
No, it's crazy watching this, and I think everybody has been watching these US elections and sort of taking examples by it. But I mean, I'm just getting back to that earlier point, just looking at a graphic of the difference in the votes, and it's tiny. I mean, there are some, like in Georgia, 7,200 votes that are different, between
which is
them.
why there will be a recount in some of these states.
Even you just look at different places that are popping up here on the maps, and I mean, it's just insane. Some of them are like 2,000 in terms of the differentiation in the vote counting. So it's going to be an interesting couple, and I don't think he is still President Donald Trump is going to go quietly. That we can almost be guaranteed of. Something that unfortunately is also not going to disappear quietly is Arsenal.
Why not?
Well, come on. Shame.
Arsenal.
Shame.
Arsenal. Okay, so Arsenal lost last night at home.
When was the last time you said they won? I'm just asking.
No, a week ago, Leanne. We beat Man United a week ago.
Okay, Leanne. I wasn't here to celebrate.
Don't make it worse than it is. So we go and we beat Man United away at Old Trafford, only to lose at home.
Oh, shame.
To Aston Villa. But I'll tell you, the only consolation to take from this is that Liverpool also got a drubbing at the hands of Villa, but that doesn't make it better. Come on. You know, they just did not show up. They were just not at the races. And I'm not sure what needs to happen here. The 1 week we up and we like, yes, we're on the right path. We're turning this thing around. Titanic's turning, and then the next week we hitting that iceberg. I really don't know what to say anymore. Football is not fair, eh? This is not a very good sport.
No,
and then on Fantasy League, they almost cost me a win on Fantasy League.
Okay.
I'm not going to have Arsenal players on my Fantasy League team anymore.
Are you, as an Arsenal fan, allowed to do that?
Yeah, I can choose any players I like for my. I manage whichever team I put together.
Yeah.
But see,
But
my,
just
my
because my
captain-
children are not performing well, I would not put them in my fantasy team.
that sounds like the fat cake story. If my children are not performing, if those fat cakes are no good, I'm not buying
not
them.
going to
I'm
the
going
team.
next door.
Okay.
If they're not performing, they're not in my team. I'm not buying them.
You know, I'm just making conversation. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Kind of like that. Well, sorry, what was the question that you asked me? Forgot. Okay. So, you know, we're going to take a break, but I can tell you one thing that is coming up the ranks. It's not in our trending topics, but please watch out for this one today. I see that Health Minister Emfuleni Must is coming up fast and furiously on a trend, and it's all got to do with an article that the Daily Maverick have put out, basically saying startling new claims by former Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa boss Lucky Montana could place Willem Kize, the ANC's former Treasurer General and the country's health minister, at the centre of one of South Africa's most egregious corruption. Egregious, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, you'd think I'd know that word. Corruption scandals. A beneficiary of the infamous 3.5 billion rand toll train contract. So, quite an interesting.
We know
read.
Lucky Montana's going to drop a few bombshells. But you know what, Leanne? Let me protect you from yourself
Thank
at this
you.
stage. Let's take a
Let's
spot
not go there. Let's take a break.